Well, hello! Welcome back to my channel. Joshana here to do a friggin' book tag. This one has been making the rounds lately. The originator was This Story Ain't Over, I believe is her channel name. I will link it down below, of course. And I've actually been tagged by two people, Sajid over at Books Are My Social Life, and Brianna over at Stormy Days and Rainy Nights. Or is it Rainy Days and Stormy Nights? What is life? This one looks like a lot of fun, so I'm gonna do it. Number one, name a book that you said thank you next to, a book that you DNF'd. I have so many choices for this. Okay, so the more recent ones, like I said, Song of Achilles, I did DNF, I still have that, but like that was recent, so let's grab something from a while back that maybe some of you weren't around for and don't know. Carry On, that's a good one. I can't remember, but I feel like I got like maybe 75 pages into that, I think. If that, maybe less. I don't remember. It was a while ago. I had never read any Rainbow Rowell, and I understand that the story in Carry On is the like fan fiction story from Fangirl, but it's like the fully fledged and fleshed out story. And I did not care for the writing style at all. It read like bad fan fiction to me. I was not enjoying in any way, shape, or form. Number two says that you can answer the next three questions either together or separately with completely different books. A book that taught you love, a book that taught you patience, and a book that taught you pain. So a book that taught me love, I'm taking it as the example, which is like a book that you loved. I'm gonna go with the Throne of Glass series, simply because I've explained, I know that a lot of it's just like trash, but I think it's fun as freaking all crap. And this is one of the series where I started reading it. Hunger Games is another one where I got very attached very early. And like this series, I read this first book and I was like shoving it down my friends' throats. Like, you have to read it. And I got my two best friends to start reading the series, and they loved it as well. For a book that taught me patience, I'm going with the entire Cemetery of Forgotten Books series by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, because if you have read this, I know this is the first one. You can read the series two different ways. I read it the wrong way. I read it in a third way that was completely wrong and like ass backwards and whatever, but I still really enjoyed it. But it is lengthy and in depth, and it's just a lot. Like, just one of these books is a lot, and the whole series spans over generations. So yeah, I would say this taught me patience, but I enjoyed it, so it wasn't painful. I'm having a real tough time with this one, with a book that taught me pain. I'm trying to think of one that like really upset me. I guess I'll go with Dear Martin, simply because it's one of the only books to ever upset me, like make me cry. And I had lingering sad emotions once I finished this book, and that just doesn't happen a lot to me. There are books where in the moment I may be like, oh my gosh, what? But this one was one that in the moment I was like, oh my gosh, what? And then I started crying, and then it was like just kind of the rest of the book. I was just very emotional and upset. So I guess I would say Dear Martin. Number six is the long question. I think everybody that I've seen do this like comments on how long it is. So name a book that you loved at the time of reading it, but in hindsight you didn't like it as much anymore. You don't like it as much anymore, but which you still learned some other quality from. That is a mouthful, but let's see. This is a series that I still might unhaul. I love these covers so much, and they like make me happy looking at them, but they're just like stuck down in the bottom right now. I don't have them like displayed, but Darker Shade of Magic, the Shades of Magic series trilogy by V.E. Schwab. When I first read this book and the second one, I was like, oh my God, I love it so much. And then I read the third one and I did not love it. And in hindsight, I didn't love the whole trilogy as much as I feel like I did, or as much as I felt like I did. Looking back, I think I was letting the hype get to me a little bit. And so what I learned from that experience, this is kind of a cop-out answer, but what I learned is to sit with it for a minute before I like freak out about a book. But sometimes it just happens, you know what I mean? You finish a book and you're just like, that was so great. And I think with this one too, it was the trilogy as a whole kind of got dampened for me because of the third book. Number 7, name a book that you're currently talking to, i.e. that you have the hots for right now. A book that I have the hots for right now is a book that I'm reading right now, and it's gonna take me the whole freaking month, and I've talked about it already, Fire and Blood by George R. R. Martin. It's literally just like a historical account. It's the world of, oh God, I'm not gonna, still so sad about this chewed up book. It's this, but the Targaryen section and like in way more detail. That's literally what it is. It's a historical account of the Targaryen family. And I did not realize, P.S., that this is volume 1. There's gonna be a second one. So that's pretty freaking cool. But yeah, like it's just a historical account of the family. But I love it. I'm like obsessed. I'm kind of like I wouldn't say I'm like a history buff at all. I could definitely learn a lot more about history in general, but I like history. Like I'm a history nerd. I live for like historical museums and reading historical stories about like real things that happened. I love it. So being like kind of a history nerd and being a huge Game of Thrones nerd, like this is perfection. Number 8 is name a book that gon' last. The book of you, the book that helped you love yourself a little bit more. That's a hard question, man. I don't think any book helped me love myself a little bit more. I really don't think I have one book that helped me love myself a little bit more. But like trying to think of like the book of you, like a book that I feel represents me. I don't know. Like I have so many different ones for different reasons, like the Parasol Protectorate series, because it's just, Alexia is so clever and witty, and I aspire to be that. And then like the Wrath and the Dawn duology, because Shazi is just a little freaking firecracker and I live for it. And the Hunger Games, because Katniss is just such a beacon of hope and inspiration. So just any of those types of books that I feel like gave me some sort of quality to aspire to, or, you know, there's a quote that I really love, and it was Diane von Furstenberg. Is that how you say her last name? Furstenberg? I'm pretty sure she's the one that said it. And it said, I knew what kind of woman I wanted to become, and I became that woman. And I've always really loved that. I discovered that quote, I think, in like late high school or maybe in college. And I just love it because that's a thing, you know what I mean? It's like having role models, having an idea of who you want to be, and then just becoming that person, being that person over time, you know, just as you grow and mature and you grow into that person. So I feel like there have been characters in different books over my life. I mean, tons when I was younger too, with characters like that where they gave me those types of traits and strengths to aspire to. Number 9 is to tag someone. Like I think literally everybody's been tagged, but I will tag, and I don't know who's done it or not. I'm gonna link down below because I don't know who has done it or hasn't. So I'm gonna come up with a couple people, check to see if they've done it, and then I'll tag them down below. All right, that is all. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Appreciate you as always. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.